All right, so yes, the Undead Horde family is growing. We have added some newcomers to the roster recently, including Temptress, and I want to talk more about her because there's something interesting going on with her ratings. You can see right here, 5 out of 5 ratings right here. Of course, not many ratings on her, but I want your opinion if she is integral to like a team. I'm curious to see your opinion on that one. But we also have Doom Screech. Isn't he just beautiful? And we're going to talk about which ones are my favorites so far out of the 13 that I have so far collected for Undead Horde Champions. There's 66 total, so we have some work to do. And I really want to check out some of these legendaries because they look absolutely badass. Look at these guys right here, dude. Man, anyway. Yeah, we'll see. I really do want to have like a whole Undead Horde army going for Faction Wars here soon enough. But you know what? There's also some other really cool champions, epic support champions I want to highlight. We got Teodor and Ugo. So yes, if you want these two for free right now, they're by far some of the best epic support champions in the game. Follow that link in the description below or scan that QR code on the screen. And this is for new users. Or if you want to start a new free-to-play account, check out the links or the QR code, and you'll also receive a ton of free starter resources. So check that out. Now, if you want a legendary for free and you missed out, remember, Alice in Wonder, you could grab her for free because the Alice Chase event is still going on. All you have to do is log in those 7 different days, and boom, you will obtain her for free on that 7th day. So check that out. But anyway, let's get back to the Undead Hordes. Yeah, kind of like obsessed with trying to collect these champions. We also have Nave, who was recently added in here, of course. And again, the artwork is just striking. But let's go ahead and talk about our newcomer, which is Temptress. She is only a rare champion, but I've also heard there are those rare champions that you just do not want to neglect. You don't want to use them as food. You want to keep them. So I'm going to ask you guys, if you're like a veteran of Raid, is Temptress worth keeping around in the long term? I'm curious your take on this. Now, we do have some reviews suggesting that she is just excellent all around, so I'm kind of curious why. So let's get into her abilities here. So we have this one right here. Sly Slice attacks one enemy. That doesn't sound too impressive out of the gates. It'd be cool if it was all enemies. Has a 30% chance of stealing one random buff from the target. Now, that I definitely like for sure. Next up, we have Flying Daggers. Attacks 4 times at random. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a leech debuff for 2 turns. I do really like that one, though. That is very cool and can be pretty useful. Also, it's attacking 4 times at random. It doesn't say attacking all enemies, but sounds like she gets in there and is very disruptive at the very least. She is an attack champion, by the way. So yeah, let's see what this one says. Vicious Partner, place a 50% increased attack, okay, and a 30% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 2 turns. Grants an extra turn when Seducer is on the same team. Interesting. So you have like a combo thing here with another champion, so she becomes more useful. Perhaps that's where some of these reviews come in here. We also have some recommended artifacts that we should be going with. It looks like, of course, that offensive is super important for your weapon, your helmet, shield, and your gauntlets. But when it comes to chest plate, you switch over to critical rate and boots critical rate, focusing on speed. Okay, so that's an interesting combo there that you would want to focus on with her. So she seems to be pretty useful. Now, she has no aura skill. That's the one thing. She could never like be plopped in there as the leader and give those bonuses out, it seems. So yeah, that's a bummer. But anyway, let's move on here. I did want to highlight, of course, our corpse collector. Now, you can see that I have actually worked to level her up, actually, because I have found her to be useful. Although I did replace her with Ursula, I will admit, I felt like Ursula was better, but we're focusing in on Undead Horde family today. Let's talk about her skills and why I actually like her. So, Insidious Parasite attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of placing a leech debuff for 2 turns. Love that leech move. And we have Hellfire. It says attacks all enemies which I love how she has these abilities where you can attack all enemies. I look for that specifically a lot of times. Now, also has a 75% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff and a 50% decreased accuracy debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. So not only is she attacking all enemies, she's debuffing the hell out of them, which is something you love to see. Now, Noxious Escape. So what is it? Attacks 3 times at random. Each hit has a 75% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. Places a Veil buff on this champion for 1 turn. We're debuffing, buffing, and it's all just working well together. Hey, she also has an aura skill, by the way. Increases ally accuracy in arena battles specifically by 40. So it's a bummer it's not for everything, but hey, she would be very useful in those arena battles, giving that accuracy boost to your allies. So not too shabby. The only thing that I have found with her is her health pool. Let me know if you think I'm wrong about this or not. That's something that I've noticed seems to be a little bit lower, and she gets knocked down pretty quickly. And I feel like I need to find a workaround for that. And remember, if you want to obtain Teodor and Ugo, 2 amazing epic support champions for free right now, follow that link in the description below or scan that QR code on the screen. And guess what? You'll also obtain a ton of free starter resources for the best start in Raid. But we also have Like here, who is a defensive champion. And what can he do? Let's talk about it. Curse of Blindness. Attacks 1 enemy, has a 30% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. I do love the debuff stuff here, but it's only a 30% chance, so that's a bummer. It's not like a 50% chance. All right. Next up, we have place a 60% increase defensive buff on this champion for 2 turns. Heals this champion by 20% of their max HP. Really trying to keep him in the battle. And then we have Innervation. Attacks 1 enemy, decreases the target's turn meter by 100%. Gotta love this one. Places a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. That's really nice because it doesn't have a condition behind it so that can be met. So it's going to happen when that move plays out. So that 30% decreased speed debuff can be extremely useful to keep that opponent at bay. But, you know, let's place him as a leader. What does he do? Increases ally defense in faction crypts specifically by 27%. So he's going to be very useful for those faction wars, those faction battles. Let's check out his reviews. So overall, not too good on arena campaign locations. But hey, look, faction wars 4.2. So yeah, it seems like a lot of people are in agreement that he is going to be your go-to when it comes to those faction wars. Pretty good rating right there. We also have Wretch, who is an attack champion, but I specifically wanted to focus on a support Undead Horde Champion, which is the Rotting Mage. At least that's who we have unlocked currently. Unfortunately, he doesn't like outright revive other down champions. We really do need to unlock an Undead champion that can specialize in that. But anyway, let's get into what he can do as he floats ominously here. Gilded Beam says this attacks 1 enemy, has a 25% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. Next up, we have Frost Armaments. Place a 25% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Place a 30% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns. So this is a unique one, actually, because this one move gives out a buff to all allies, but also a buff to him individually, which is really cool to see. I like that a lot. Okay. Next up, we have Mental Overload. Attacks 1 enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. It's nice to see that that number is up there. 75% chance as opposed to like 30% chance, which we've been seeing those lower numbers, those lower chances. But that's a really good start right there. And then if we place him as a leader, we get that ally speed in faction crypts. Once again, focus on faction crypts by 13%. So the Undead Horde seems to be really good at those faction wars. We only have 2 reviews for him, unfortunately. Not too good, actually, for him so far. Let me know if any of you guys actually use him at all. So I don't know if I should outright ignore him or something. I might mess around with him, but according to this, there's only 2 reviews, so I can't be super dependent on 2 reviews. And like the faction wars rating is actually somewhat low, considering that he has that aura bonus here. But yeah, let me know your take on him if you have actually gotten to try him out. And these guys are pretty much food down here. Of course, once you get into uncommon and common ones. But yeah, you know, let's talk about Doomscreech. We've got Doomscreech here, who is a rare. Unfortunately, he's not an epic. But hey, we'll take it. He does have the Aura skill. We'll start out there. Increased ally HP and faction crypts once again by 21%. Sharing the love. We also have Scrabbling Claws. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Has a 25% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. It is such a shame that is such a low percentage chance, in my opinion. Only 25% chance. Still a bummer. Now, Warning Screech says this. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 30%. Place a 60% increase defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. I like this. There's no chance condition behind it, so that is pretty nice. Shelter level 1 attacks all enemies. There we go. Place a shield buff equal to 30% max HP on this champion for 2 turns. I was hoping allies, but we'll take it. Damage increases according to this champion's current HP. Okay, that could be interesting. I am curious to see what his reviews look like, so let's get into it. Hey, not too shabby. So overall, it seems like people like him, except for when it comes to like Fire Knight's Castle or Phantom Shogun's Grove, and then Chimera is a lower rating there. But, you know, when it comes to like Arena Defense, even the campaign locations, which I like to farm, he's actually pretty good. So that is really cool to see that Doomscreech is actually good at that. So yeah, that's awesome. But anyway, there's just some of the Undead champions that I have right now. I'm looking to get my first Undead Horde Legendary. They look really, really cool. And look at this dude. Look at this guy right here. So hopefully, crossing my fingers that eventually soon I can acquire one of these guys right here. But there it is. Now remember, if you guys are wanting to obtain some really cool epic support champions right now for free, some of the best, I should say, in this game, follow that link in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen. You'll also obtain, by level 15, Ugo for free. And yes, you will get a ton of starter resources to give you the best head start in your adventures in Raid Shadow Legends as a new user, of course, or you can create a new second free-to-play account or a third one, whatever you want to do if you want to mess around with different combinations of champions, which is something that I absolutely love doing. But anyway, yeah, really wanted to highlight my Undead Horde champions I've collected so far. Excited to keep growing the Undead Horde here. We'll see what happens. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.